So as of recording this video, number one, I'm sick. I don't know why. I have a cold. Number two, I just released a video yesterday about the Steam Deck. And today I go on Steam and I see that there is a Steam hardware announcement. So I went ahead and watched it and I just wanted to talk about it. So first things first, if you go onto Steam's official, application, Steam, everyone uses this, you'll see this on the top. And I just saw this and I was like, what is this? I just bought a Steam Deck. Like, I hope they're not announcing a Steam Deck too. So I click on this, right? It brought me here. And then there's this video up top and then these down here, which are the 4 Steam hardware, which we already know the Steam Deck, but the other 3 are completely new. So the first thing that Steam covers in their video is the Steam controller, which is a new version of the Steam controller, which I think they've had before. If I recall correctly, they had something like a controller back in the day, but this one is basically the Steam Deck. It's the exact same thing as the Steam Deck controls, but it's just put on like a handheld controller, not like a whole device. So it has, the familiar trackpads, it has the back buttons, it has the Steam home button, it's got all the necessary buttons that you would need for a Steam controller. But at the same time, it also comes with this new feature of a magnetic charger, which basically it attaches to the back of your Steam controller. And while you're playing, you can pick up your controller while the magnet is attached and you can play while it's charging. Another way I think you can also charge is from the USB-C cable at the top. If you look at the video, there is one right here on the top. I'm not sure if that's going to be able to charge the controller. I figure it would, but you never know with these types of things. But I think with that, you're probably going to be able to charge it. But I feel like the magnet is much cooler because you can just like take it off and put it back on. You don't have to worry about plugging back in. So it has the magnetic thumbsticks that the Steam Deck OLED has, I believe, but not the Steam Deck LCD. And then it has all the important stuff like the rumble and all that. But one thing that I talked about in the video was with the gyros. They're very different on this controller. They use a lot more tracking with your fingerprints on the thumbsticks, and then on the back where you're holding your hands. If you see on this little demonstration here, it's able to track your movement a little bit better, which I find very cool. So anyways, this controller does look sick. I do think that this looks very interesting and very cool. So on to the next piece of hardware. So with the Steam controller, we've also got this new Steam machine, which is a completely new console. And just like the Steam Deck, it is both a console and a PC. So it not only can just be ran in the big Steam OS, but it can also be ran as a regular everyday computer. So you can use it for the 2 purposes. And for what it is, it's actually very compact. It's a very small device. And it does provide a lot of performance. So for someone that might want a more powerful PC, but in a smaller, compact way, this is a totally legitimate purchase. And then for people that want something like a console, they don't want to deal with something like building a computer or buying a full-on computer, this is also just as equally a great option. I do think that personally this device is not for me. I do have a PC, so I have no reason to get something like this. I mean, I already have my computer, my PS5, I got all the games I would ever need. But the reason I also titled this video the Xbox Killer is because Steam has basically taken Xbox's place. We've seen Xbox recently with their Xbox ROG Ally. It wasn't a very good handheld, not getting really good reviews right now. Not a lot of people like it. I saw one at Best Buy and I was looking at it, and then I saw the ROG Ally X like right next to it, and they were the exact same thing. I didn't really notice much of a noticeable difference in the specs or anything like that either. But the biggest thing with Xbox right now is that they're focusing primarily on the cloud gaming with Xbox Game Pass, and they're also releasing a lot of their exclusive games like the new Halo remaster or remake or whatever on PlayStation, which is insane because, these were Xbox exclusives. Halo has never been anywhere but Xbox, and then it was put on Steam and now it's getting put on PlayStation. So Xbox has really lost their identity. They've lost their brand. Xbox is more of just like a publisher now, like EA or Ubisoft or something like that. Like they've kind of lost all of their branding. But on a different track, this console does look very insane. It basically is going to replace the Xbox in the console war that doesn't really exist right now. It's more of just like, PlayStation has their own thing going on, Nintendo has their thing going on, and now Steam is going to put themselves in the picture as well. And the one thing that I would say about this console is that even though it is a very good device, I do think that with something like this, not a lot of people are going to buy it because it's probably going to be more expensive. So I could see Nintendo and PlayStation still holding their own in the market. I don't see Steam taking the place of like, the PS5 or the PS6 when that comes out, or the Nintendo Switch 2 even. I do think this is going to be a much less well-owned console. I feel like more people are going to lean towards something cheaper. There is no official price for this yet, but if I scroll down on this website page, I can pull up the specs here. So looking at the specs here for the Steam machine, it looks like we're going to have a CPU with 4.8 gigahertz, 30 watts of TDP, and then a 2.4 gigahertz GPU, which is going to have 8 gigabytes DDR6 RAM, which is actually very solid. That compares to something probably like the 4060, 3060 maybe series of graphics cards. On the AMD side, or on the NVIDIA side, I don't really know much about the AMD graphics cards. I haven't really dabbled in that. But it's got 512 gigabytes for the standard version, and then a 2 terabyte, probably more expensive version, which is probably gonna be for the more like intense option, I guess you would say. And then other than that, I mean, it's just got the standard stuff you would need. It's also got a display port, which I find very useful. I mean, if you're going to play this on a monitor, you might as well use display port, not HDMI. So that is a good addition. And it's also running on Steam OS 3. So that's basically what the all the Steam consoles are going to be running on now, which is the Steam OS, which is what the Steam Deck already runs on. So overall, it looks very solid. And it looks like the Steam controller is going to come with it. So that would probably add to the price, which is why I would say more towards the $700 range for the price. Definitely more of a console slash PC, but probably leaning more towards the PC side of things. And that actually brings me to the next topic. The final device, and probably the coolest one, the one that I actually want to get depending on the price, is the new Steam Frame, which is a wireless streaming VR headset slash computer VR headset. So what I mean by that is it's primarily designed for the wireless streaming. There is a little USB wireless port that you can plug into your PC, and you can stream your games from your Steam library to the headset. But it also runs natively. So you can run like, your computer, you could probably watch like YouTube on a web browser or something, or you can play like probably smaller, but you can probably play like smaller games on here. Maybe something like Half-Life Alyx could run on this thing natively. I'm not really sure. I don't think they've announced the specs, but I will go look at that soon. But I would just want to talk about this device first. So it comes with the controller, and the controllers are looking very nice. It's basically all kind of coming from the controller that they had on the Steam Deck OLED. So these new VR controls are going to be based on that. It has the rumble with the magnetic controls. And also, another thing about this headset is that they've actually made it possible to use eye tracking as a way to upscale the image. So I'm actually going to try and find that page here if it doesn't go away. So basically, when you're playing a game, they've integrated eye tracking to the device, which basically allows it to track wherever you're looking and to scale that part of the screen to a higher resolution than anywhere else on the screen, which actually is very interesting, because what it will do is it will make it a lot better of an experience to be playing a game, and to know that the game can run less affected by like the GPU performance or the CPU and RAM, because some parts of the screen are not going to be rendering at the full resolution that it wants you to be rendered or wants you to see. But when it's using eye tracking, only the specific spots you're looking at are actually going to be rendered, which would save a lot on performance and makes it possible for something like this to have computer tech inside of it and make it run games natively. So with that, I'm going to scroll down here, and as we can see, it does have a processor in it. It's going to be some sort of, I bet you this is like some sort of AMD custom, and then it's got 16 gigabytes of RAM. But it doesn't really say anything about a GPU, so I'm not sure what this is going to be using for a graphics device. We'll have to see when that comes out. The storage is looking pretty typical, 256 gigabytes or a 1 terabyte option. And also with the power, looks like it's rechargeable, ion battery, typical. Very typical stuff here. Nothing too insane, but also it's not a bad thing either, because I think with something like this, if we're not going to have a lot of high tech inside of the device, just enough to run maybe a couple games, the streaming option actually becomes very legitimate. And the reason why I actually think the streaming version is actually good is because this device doesn't stream based on your Wi-Fi necessarily. It streams based on a wireless USB port or USB device that you can plug into your computer, and it displays its own output. So it's able to actually stream at a higher resolution, a higher speed than what you would with, like, I don't know, doing it over the Wi-Fi or over the cloud. So it's actually a very effective way to stream games at such a high resolution and have them run smoothly while also not needing wires and stuff like that might get in the way, which have been some of the issues in the past with VR, is that you have to hook it up to a wire to stream from your computer, and then devices like the the wireless headsets like the Oculus, they haven't been the best when it comes to like visual performance or anything like that. So this could actually solve those issues if it's done correctly, which from what it looks like, they are definitely trying something that might actually work with the USB wireless receiver. So the display is 2160 by 2160 per eye, which is pretty good. I think that's pretty high. That's almost 4K resolution per eye, which is very good. And again, this won't be displaying 2160 by 2160 for every single pixel on the screen. It's only where your eye is directly looking. And the refresh rate is actually very high, which is good. You need the high refresh rates when you have a computer strapped to your face. So anyways, overall, this device looks very interesting. Depending on the price, I will go ahead and get it. This is probably going to be something that I will want to try out in the future if it's not overly expensive. I don't know if there's been any speculation about the price, but for me, I feel like if they want to compete, but both compete with consoles with their console, but also compete with the VR industry, they're going to want to also do something to push it forward in a way, like the Nintendo Switch did with the portable, console. Now I feel like Steam might be trying to do something with the wireless VR experience, and I do think with that they're going to want to make this a more affordable option so that more people will dabble into VR, because Steam has been known for trying to like push the VR industry forward a little bit with Half-Life Alyx and then their Steam Valve Index. So they have definitely wanted to push it forward, but I think this might be just the thing they would need if they price this correctly. And I don't really know much about VR headsets or anything like that, so I can't really tell you like my estimate on the cost, but what I would hope for is something in like the $400 to $500 range. That sounds reasonable to me. I think that they can probably make that happen. If they choose to do less somehow, I mean, that would be also incredible, and I would probably buy it instantly. But yeah, that's probably the best thing that's been announced so far. So with that, that's everything that's released so far in terms of Steam hardware. Leave a like and a comment. Let me know what you guys think. I want to know your guys' thoughts and opinions on these devices. Maybe cost estimates, or just do you think the device is going to be worth it? Do you think it's going to be good? Just leave a comment down below explaining your point of view on something about the topic I'm talking about today. And if you like these types of videos, more hardware oriented compared to my past review videos, go ahead and just let me know. I'm going to try and do these more often. I'm actually enjoying this a little bit more, but I will stick to game reviews from time to time. I do want to review like some future games that are coming up next year especially, but right now I just want to dabble into like the IT hardware type of YouTube genre. So with that being said, thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one.